Hey guys, welcome back to Dreamland. I hope you all doing great today. Last time I promised you all that everything was about to change for Wing and Wangji. Destiny has finally stepped in. And today you see the shift unfold right in front of your eyes. So let's get into it. If Base had a face, it would look like Wangji right now. With a genuine smile softening his usually calm features, he sat surrounded by the children from the orphanage. A tiny girl perched comfortably on his lap. Wangji adored the children. He always looked forward to seeing them, and among all the people in his life, only the little ones ever got to be this close to him. They crowded around him with pure affection, excited and glowing as they enjoyed the delicious food he had cooked just for them. They always waited for this day. Wangji visited the orphanage every now and then, bringing snacks and small gifts for the kids. But nothing delighted them more than the meals he cooked himself. And even though Wangji wasn't one of the donors who gave large sums of money, everyone who worked at the orphanage appreciated him for something far more precious than money. He gave them his time. He played with the children, listened to them, made them feel loved and seen. Something they grabbed more deeply than anything money could buy. Meanwhile, Wing was getting ready for an important meeting with several CEOs from major companies, including Songlan, whom he had last seen at the gala. Before Songland disappeared without a word, thinking about that gala, Wing unacceptably found himself appreciating Mr. Lee, a man who never mixed personal issue with business. Even after being offended so badly there, he held no grudges. And who wouldn't be offended after all when you get slapped for no reason? The meeting room was bright with sunlight coming through the big glass windows, but inside the air felt heavy, serious. Every person sitting around that long table knew how big this still was. Wing sat at the head of the table, calm and focused. On the screen behind him, the final project details were showing. Around him were a few company heads, and among them his friend Songlan. At the other end sat Mr. Lee, looking confident as always. So Mr. Lee said smoothly, I think the condition is clear. I invest heavily, you all take the responsibility. If this project fails, all of you, including me, share the loss equally. But if it succeeds, everyone wins big. It's fair, isn't it? A few CEOs nodded, whispering among themselves. Wayne leaned back slightly. It's a risky deal, he said, but the profit margin looks worth it. Mr. Lee smiled. Exactly. I like how you think, Mr. Wei. But Songlan wasn't smiling. He sat straight and said, confidence is one thing. Signing the deal blindfolded is another. The whole room went quiet. Wing turned his head toward him. What do you mean, Songlan? I mean, Songlan said calmly, this deal is too one-sided. Mr. Lee's taking less risk than any of us. If things go wrong, he still wins. We're the one who'll face the damage. Mr. Lee chuckled lightly. Come on now, Mr. Song. I'm offering an opportunity, not a trap. You're free to step away if you're scared. I'm not scared, Songlan replied firmly. I just don't trust deals that look too shiny from far away. The other CEOs looked at each other, unsure what to say. Mr. Lee glanced at Wing. You won't let him talk you out of this, will you, Mr. Wei? I know you make a smart decision, not emotional ones. Wing's tone stayed calm. Everyone here will make their own choice. I'm not forcing anyone. But Songlan stood up. Then here's mine. My company is out, and I'd advise others to think twice before agreeing to this condition. The room froze. Mr. Lee's smiles faded for a second. Your loss, mister, he said, voice cold. I hope your conscience can afford it. Songlan gave a short laugh. Maybe, but at least it'll be my loss, not yours. I'll take that risk, just not with you. He walked out, leaving a tense silence behind. Wayne didn't say a word for a long moment. His eyes stayed on the screen, but his thoughts were somewhere else. He could already tell Songlan had no problem with the deal. His problem was Mr. Lee. Wayne had stopped Songlan for a coffee after their meeting ended. So, what's your deal? Wayne asked as soon as they sat down. What are you talking about? Songlan replied, taking a slow sip of his coffee. Wayne rolled his eyes. What you pulled in the meeting, we both know there's nothing wrong with what Mr. Lee proposed. So tell me the real reason you don't want it. Ah, you did it, Songlan muttered, then continued. Look, Wing, I know you're very professional. You don't let any personal discomfort with a person affect your work with them. But not everyone is like you, and you should respect other people's choice too. He paused, then added quietly. Besides, I know you don't even care that much about Wangji. You're only with him because of your father. Wing didn't understand where that came from, so he stayed silent and let him continue. At first, I thought your resentment toward him would change with time, once you got to know him for real, but I was wrong. You even told everyone in the group that you and Wangji are not together. Yeah, because that's the truth. And they were asking so many questions after the dinner party. I just cleared their suspicious. But what does any of this have to do with your canceling the deal? Wing asked, irritated. Nothing, Sanglan replied, a hint of anger in his voice. I just don't like that man. And after what happened at the gala between him and Wangji, I realized I don't want any contact with him. Wing scoffed. Really, because as far as I know, it's Mr. Lee who should take offense. He's the one who got mistreated for no reason. We should be thankful he didn't change his mind about continuing the deal. As you wish, Songlan said flatly, but I don't think like that. And I'm actually happy Wangji didn't hesitate to show him his place. That's what I like about him. He doesn't judge people by their status. Anyway, now that you have your answer, I'm going. He stood up and headed for the door. Wing spoke again, frustrated. Think again, you're really letting go of this offer over such a trivial thing. Be assured nothing you say will change my mind. Songlan smiled, a calm, confident smile that only irritated Wing more. Why does he care so much about Wangji? So Wing sort back sarcastically. Well, good for you, but don't forget to tell Wangji about this so you don't get treated like Mr. Lee in the future if you're not in the mood to talk. Sanglan replied in the same sad tone. No need, I'm not the one forcing myself on whoever I want. Wing scoffed. I think you're spending too much time with Wangji. You're talking just like him. We all know how Mr. Lee likes to flirt whenever he gets the chance, and Wangji is not new. I know that very well, Songlan said, then paused. But now I think you don't know what he did to Wangji. What do you mean? Wing asked, though a part of him already feared the answer. And then Songlan told him what happened at the gala. Later that night, when Wing reached home, he was disappointed to find that Wangji still wasn't back. He had rehearsed a dozen times how he would apologize, and even though he didn't believe he was entirely at fault, Wangji should have told him what happened. He still felt guilty. He couldn't even remember all the hurtful things he said that night. Or Wangji should have stopped him, or at least yelled at him. Then he remembered Wangji's only sentence from that night. He did the same thing, and I hated it as much as I'm hating it right now. Did Wangji think Wang was just like Mr. Lee? Is that why he didn't tell him anything? The thoughts clouded Wang's mind. If not for Songlan, he still wouldn't know the truth. So that was why both of them disappeared at the same time without telling him anything. It was almost midnight and Wangji still hadn't returned. The more eagerly Wing waited, the longer Wangji seemed to stay away. Wing paced the bedroom restlessly. Why was it taking him so long to get home? Then he remembered what Johan told them. Today was Wangji's mother's birthday. Maybe he went to see his father. Then another thought hit him. How happy Wangji was in the morning. How excited, until they ruined his mood by throwing away his food. Wing closed his eyes and pinched the bridge of his nose. Maybe Wangji got more of it than they thought and decided not to come back. He sat on the sofa, hands gripping his head. No, Wangji wouldn't do that. He's probably just staying the night there. After all, he hasn't met his father since moving here. Or maybe he didn't go there at all. Then where was he? A cold fear ran through him. What if something bad happened? Something like what happened at the bus stand. No, I'm thinking too much, he told himself, standing up again and pacing. Wangji could have informed him if he was just staying somewhere else. He should think about not worrying others. Wait, I was getting worried. I'm not. Wing muttered, denying his own fear. "I'm just saying it's irresponsible of him. And I wasn't awake waiting for him. I only wanted to fix my mistake. Because unlike some people, I know how to take responsibility." Finally comforting himself with his own excuses, Wing went to bed, fully convinced he wasn't worried about Wangji. It didn't matter if Wangji was out partying or staying with his dad. At least that's what he told himself. The next morning, the first thing Wing noticed when he opened his eyes was the sofa, still empty. He checked the bathroom, no sign anyone had been there. That meant Wangji still hadn't come home. Before leaving for work, after breakfast, he cornered Johan quietly. He asked if Wangji had told her where he went, because Wangji always informed her whenever he would be late returning from his studio. But unfortunately, she knew nothing either. That confirmed it for Wing. Wangji was avoiding him. He was already upset about Mr. Lee, and Wing had made it worse by refusing the food he cooked on his mother's birthday of all days. Maybe Wangji had finally reached his limit. Great. If he wants to end it like this, I'm not stopping him. Wing thought bitterly, but what a childish way of doing it. Then again, what else should I accept? He always does things his own way, without thinking how it affects others. Now he could only wait for Wangji's next move. As accepted, when Wing returned home late in the evening, there was still no sign of him. He focused on his routine, acting like Wangji hadn't crossed his mind even once. But the moment he entered the bedroom, the sofa made that impossible. Wangji and he were rarely home at the same time, yet the sofa now felt strangely empty without him. Wing had gotten used to seeing him there. He could have called him, he could have asked, but Wangji's sudden silence, despairing without any update, stopped him from doing so. The next day was busier than ever. Everything seemed to pile up on Wing. He had 2 more meetings to attend, all by himself, because his secretary, Jian was on vacation. When Jian begged for 2 days off, Wing hadn't been able to refuse. Now he regretted it deeply. He was driving to meet a new investor for his upcoming project, the one he needed because he had cancelled the deal with Mr. Lee and somehow convinced all the CEOs to do the same. Wang's mind drifted as he drove, thoughts of work, stress, and unwilling concern for Wangji mixing together when suddenly a young girl ran into the road. He hit the brakes hard, swerving to avoid her. For a second he thought he managed, until he felt the impact on the side. It wasn't the girl, it was her mother running after her without looking around. The accident was small, but shock hit him instantly. He rushed out of the car, heart racing, helping the woman sit up. She insisted she was fine, but Wing didn't listen. He offered, almost insisted, to take her to the hospital and get her checked properly. Wing offered to take her to the hospital and pay all the charges. At least this much he could do, even though it wasn't really his fault the accident happened. She agreed gratefully, thanking him again and again for his generosity. At the hospital, they found out it was only a minor sprain in her ankle and a few small scratches. While her mother was getting treated, Wing stayed with the little girl, keeping her company and buying her favorite ice cream to calm her down. Once everything was done, he offered to drive them home, but she refused, saying he had already done more than enough. She insisted she would manage with a taxi, and since Wing was already running late for his meeting, he didn't force her. He simply wished them well and headed toward the exit. He had just reached the hospital lobby when he heard loud voices coming from the next corridor. He didn't know why, but something in him wanted to check what the commotion was about. And what he saw made him freeze for a second. 2 male nurses were forcefully dragging a man by both arms. The man fought back with whatever strength he had left, mumbling in a broken voice, Please, please let me talk to the doctor. He had to. One of the nurses cut him off, shouting louder than anyone should in a hospital. The doctor already told you his decision. Instead of understanding it, you're disturbing all the other patients. But none of that was what shocked Wing. What truly shocked him was the man being dragged. His clothes were all dirty, his white shirt had lost all its color. His hair was a tangled mess. He wasn't even wearing shoes. He looked completely distraught, broken. And even Wing had to blink twice. Only then did he realize the man was Wangji, Lan Wangji, the man he had never seen even slightly uncomposed. Now standing here like this, bleeding, trembling, tear-stained, defeated. A strange fury rose in Wing's chest. Furious, but for the first time in his life, not at Wangji. He didn't know why Wangji was here. He didn't know Wangji had been here all this time while he assumed Wangji was at his father's house. Right now, only one thing mattered. He had to stop them. No one touched Wangji like this. Leave him. Wing commanded, his voice sharp enough to freeze them in place. Wangji barely reacted. He glanced at Wing, but it was an empty, distant look, as if he didn't even recognize him. Then he turned back and started pleading to the nurses again to let him see the doctor. They ignored him. Their attention shifted to the determined man standing before them, someone who looked capable of actually stopping them. Do you know him? One nurse asked. First let him go, Wing replied, holding back the anger trembling in his voice. We can't. We have orders, and if you don't know him, please let us do our work. They started dragging Wangji again. Wing snapped. He grabbed one nurse's wrist in a tight, painful hold. He said, leave him. This shifted Wangji's attention again, but before anyone could speak, a calm voice sounded behind them. Mr. Wei, what are you doing here? Everyone turned toward the doctor. Wing didn't waste a second. With gritted teeth, he growled. First tell them to leave my husband before I do something I regret. The doctor froze. This man, this disabled, broken man was Mr. Wei's husband. He had never seen him before, but no one dared question Wei's family relationships. The nurses instantly let go of Wangji. He stumbled and Wing caught him, steadying him because Wangji could barely stand. Wangji used their small freedom to try reaching the doctor again, but Wing held him still, speaking for him. Could you tell me what exactly is going on here? Wang asked, ignoring everyone else. Is this how you treat people who come to your hospital for help? No, absolutely not, the doctor said nervously. Really? Then what was I just witnessing? The doctor swallowed, choosing his words carefully. It's your husband. He looked at Wangji with guilt. We told him many times we can't do the surgery. The patient's condition too critical. We can't take the risk. Now it was Wing's turn to be confused. Whose surgery? Who is admitted? Who is he talking about? He turned to ask Wangji, but please, doctor. Wangji whispered desperately. It's already too late. Please don't delay anymore. You said yourself his condition is critical. Please do the surgery. I promise I'll pay the bill. Just please. Wing's chest tightened painfully. He couldn't bear to see Wangji like this. He pulled Wangji closer, silencing him gently, while the doctor looked completely lost now that he knew this was Mr. Wei's husband. Whose surgery this? Wayne demanded. Who is admitted? Mr. Lan, the doctor replied. It took a moment, then it hit him. Mr. Lan, Wangji's father. No wonder Wangji looked like this. No one understood Wangji's fear better than Wing. He had been in the same position months ago, still waiting for his own father's voice even now. Tell me what happened to Mr. Lan, Wing said. He has a congenital heart defect causing an opening between chambers, basically a hole in the heart. He ignored it for too long. The chance of a successful surgery was already small, and with his age, it's even less now. But there is still a chance, right? Wing asked sharply. Yes, but it's very thin. We don't want to risk. So what? Wing cut him off. Let him die. You're one of the best surgeons here. If you don't know how to do your job, then who does? Then he remembered what Wangji said earlier. Are this about money? No, absolutely not. Good, Wing said coldly. Then start the surgery. If you need the best surgeon from another city, get them here. Don't worry about the cost. But if we lose him because of your negligence, we're ready to lose your job. The doctor didn't even wait for him to finish. He asked the nurses to move Mr. Lan to the operating room immediately. Sometime later, Wing sat on a bench in the corridor watching Wangji clinging to the operating room doors, refusing to move despite Wing begging him to rest. Nothing was certain yet. Mr. Lan was still in danger, but at least now the doctors were trying. 3 of the wave surgeons were inside. Everything possible was being done. Wing prayed silently for Mr. Lan's recovery. He had done everything he could. But one question kept burning inside him. Why hadn't Wangji told him? Why did he go through all of this alone? Why didn't he ask for help? And that's it for today's part, guys. If you made it till here, tell me what you think. Did this just hit you the way it hit me? Because trust me, this is just the beginning. The best moments for Wing and Wangji are only getting us started.